To open session at 6:02. No actions were taken in closed session. Attendance roll call. Clerk Elkishin.
Here.
Trustee Lopez.
Here.
Trustee Reed. Here. Trustee Galindo.
Here.
And President Maxfield. And even though there's nobody here, we're just going to make an announcement that we're starting our new Board Docs program. That Paula, thank you. It looks great. It's a lot easier to navigate instead of thumbing through a PDF with 300 pages. So we're getting used to it in documents and stuff. So there may be some hitches in the get along, but we'll work through it. All right. Will you all please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So here's my chance, because the Pledge of Allegiance is actually written here.
I thought about it, I put it there.
So Kathy Flamson says there's no commas in there between indivisible and under God, indivisible, one nation. Anyways, it's a rotary joke. And she's like, we're standing because people pause, and there's no comma there. Keep on going. And
Oh, shit.
yeah, it's kind of fun. So, all right. 3.5, approve, adopt the agenda. Any changes to the agenda? Okay. Julie, second, and Mark. All in favor? Aye. 3.6, district mission statement. We are a collaborative, culturally rich educational community where a rigorous and innovative curriculum prepares our students to be successful contributors to our global society. Item 4, public comments. Public business from the floor, non-agendized items. Should I read the whole script? Yes. No, she shook her head. All right. This portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the board on any item regarding board business that is not on the agenda. Without taking action or entering into a dialogue with the public, board members may briefly respond to statements made or ask clarifying questions about topics posed by the public. Your matter may be referred to administration. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Okay. Moving on. Item 5.1, board self-evaluation. So let's go on with that. Okay. So this is our evaluation of ourselves that we do in public, but this is for our information and how we feel that we're doing our job. And so I'm just going to go through and read the bold point of things and talk about some comments that were made, so on and so forth. We can all discuss any questions or answers, whatever we want to do. But this is our chance. It's our information in open session. Talk about this. The board works well as a member of the team. The average ended up being 3.6, and 4 would be the highest. So that seems pretty good. The comment was, we sometimes can do a better job of listening, but we always are cordial and everybody has a chance to express themselves. That's pretty well true. G2, the board respects diversity of perspectives and styles on the board and in the community. And that was a 3.3. G3, the board focuses its efforts on serving the needs of all children in the district. And that was a 3.1. And the comment here was that the board is not focusing well enough on the goals listed in G3. Our junior senior high is currently on probationary accreditation status for significant deviation from the Ross criteria. Our current scores further demonstrate the lack of academic progress on our student body as a whole. I also feel the district is lacking in resources for academic support available to the student subgroups that are scoring 2 levels below standards. I believe the board needs to establish better communication system with the parents in general in order to avoid misunderstandings and misinformation. I also firmly believe that there is a need to establish a culturally relevant communication bridge with the Latino parents. Now, I know, Superintendent, there's a couple of things in here that we're kind of working on, correct?
We are, in regard to academic support, we are adding a Title I intervention specialist position at the elementary school. We are adding a special day class teacher at the elementary school, and then we're also adding a math teacher at the high school for minor intervention.
So, all this stuff is kind of work in progress.
Yeah, those are just going to be implemented this school.
Comments, questions?
The tutoring last year, the Abbott only, I just wanted to make sure that any student needing help, tutoring support would have somebody that helped them. I had a couple students needing some support, and they were told the tutors were only for adult students, and so that was trouble. So at the junior, senior high school. And so as we make these strides, I would hope that support for all students would be there.
Yeah, sure.
That's unfortunate that information got out. Teachers were all given instruction that the math teachers told the lessons. All math teachers were told, and they were told to tell their students. And I also made announcements that the math teachers would be able to serve as a week. And they weren't just for the math students, they were for all students. So
That message didn't get
they
conveyed.
conveyed really well to the teachers and myself. We did the announcements and we did a good job.
So as far as, board policy goals and things, and I think we're working towards all those things. So we all feel it looks like a 3.1. G4, the board understands its roles and responsibilities and work within its own policies, standards, and ethics. And we gave ourselves a 3.2. Accountability because of our vision. The comment was, we try to provide community leadership. We need to find better ways to recruit parents and other members of the public to help on, for example, the bond oversight. True. In fact, I got to work on that because my mom said she'll sign it. So, I got to get the paper. Well, I think it's something that we all need to be proud of. Yeah. Say that again? We need 6?
So is there any, outside the board we can't be on, correct?
Correct.
So spouses, no?
No, spouses.
I mean, we gotta sell that one, because that's not a hard, right now, there's nothing going on, we just need bodies. So, paperwork.
Yeah, the responsibilities for this time are not.
Right. So, maybe, under this, maybe we, can say, hey, we need to do community outreach, and we're just talking about it right now. We don't need to look at after the role of leading. G6. Let's see. Right? Oh, on G5, the board regularly reviews our policy manual, and we gave that a 2.7, which is a little low, but you have a way of handling that for us, so we do that, correct?
Yeah, we're currently in the processes of updating the entire policy manual. So we've stalled into particular departments. So as soon as we get our personnel policies and our business services policies reviewed, we'll submit those to CSE.
But did you also say that there was a way so that every board meeting we would be,
Yes. So once you've done the global adoption as a board, then every month I'll be bringing back the updates from CSBA. So every month they probably change or revise maybe up to 10 a month. So those, I will continue to bring those back to you so that you're staying on current on the policies.
So we're being force-fed.
Correct. And it's just more palatable. There are not so many policies to review.
Sure. No, that makes sense.
And sometimes they're minor changes and something new that CSBA is doing now that makes it much more convenient for board members is they actually highlight the changes from one policy to the other. So it's not as time consuming as it was in the past to try to revise your policies.
So we know with the global adoption?
We are still in the process of trying to complete that. Yeah, we have those two departments' policies to complete. The principals have all done theirs as far as instruction. And we've done the board bylaws, we've done almost all of them except those two.
So work in progress.
Work in progress.
Good. The board realizes that the way its demeanor is perceived has dramatic consequences and acts accordingly. We give ourselves a 2.5, and I'm going to read this comment, which I think is pretty good, kind of sums it up. I believe that we have done a wonderful job coming together this year as a more cohesive, high-trust, high-functioning team. We've had many changes, new superintendent, staff changes, new hires, a lot of procedural learning. I believe that we are all exerting effort personally to become more in line with our roles as trustees and our role in determining and carrying out the vision of the district. Of course, we have room to improve this coming year, and we will all settle into a year where the majority of the change will be behind us and can start constructively looking to the future and the vision that will encompass the changing landscape of learning institutions in our third phase of a project to improve remaining upgrades needed at school. I am proud of the work that we've all done to refine our skills, become more knowledgeable and effective in our roles, and continue working on our strengths, our relationships to one another, thus continuing to reinforce our high trust culture. It's a journey. I think we are on a very positive trajectory. Any comments about our evaluations? You know, as far as just adding some of the things to address some of our lower scoring things, I think we have some things in place to help improve that for our next evaluation. Good job, people. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. .2. See, this is what we can bear with me because we were principals update WASC in the master schedule. And we have all these things here, right, lined up. So I'm going to start with the WASC letter from, so I can't remember, there was a couple people on that committee. I know this guy signed the letter, but there was somebody else that kind of gave us a breakdown of the summary. And you know, I think I speak for the board that, you know, I had to read this twice because it kind of sounded, oh, I don't think that sounds too bad. But as I get into this, we're kind of concerned.
Sure.
You know, this is something that we can't take lightly. I mean, we lose our accreditation. You know, we're on a 2-year probation. So, you know, we need to keep this at the forefront, making sure it gets the importance that it does.
I have a question. It says that we deviated significantly. How so?
That's a good question. If you look at the WASC plan, the prior WASC plan, and the current WASC plan, there's not much deviation from what was outlined from 6 years ago. And the self-study, which was half of the year, it's still the same things that were outlined 6 years ago, which were basically close to achieving, looking our student scores and tests. There were some things in there is pretty much the same because it's still things we need to continue to look at, things that happen in institutions.
So from our perspective, it's looking like, okay, these things have been there, but maybe this whole process hasn't been given the priority, I guess, that it needs to be given.
Well, we just kind of go through some of the things that are
Okay.
happening and we'll talk about those. As you can see in my report, that there are some positive things that came out of it. And there's some things, just like the soul study that you talked about here with your board, it's very important. Because without someone coming in, we can continue to think, well, we're doing a wonderful job, right? We had the math teachers present last year, and one of the things we asked them to do is to really look at their practices, their scores, and so on. And they were pretty transparent, say that it's not worth it.
Well, that was huge.
That's not really worth it. Well, they were very honest about it. The same thing with language and language arts. And so, the self-study is for them to come in and say, let's take a look from the outside of things we need to work on, what things we need to improve. So some of those things, we're halfway through the process of improving, Aaron being new and making some changes. You see some of these items relate to the LCAP and how people are involved in the LCAP process and development of the process. In the past, our LCAP was developed by the person in charge of business and the site secretary of the district office. And we had school board members on our staff who knows the proper process. And we were involved stakeholders, your parents, your staff, and so on. That didn't take place. And so Aaron has changed that and brought in involvement. So that's being addressed. It's part of one of the things that they outlined for us, the communication aspect of it too. We see we're having a new website that will be now in Spanish and English. But if you look at the old website, it was straight English, so communication wasn't really addressed in the way it should. And so we're seeing some changes there. So they did point out things that needed to happen, not just at the site, but at the district level too. And so I'm happy to say that those things are happening now. When it comes to our site, so LCAP self-study, LCAP, student development, student plan for student achievement is something that Michael is helping Monica and I with development. It's something that we're aware of, we're providing guidance for, and so he's been helping to develop that. It's also something that needs to be developed with our subjects. That would be taken to this issue with all of the subjects. And if you know the parent who wants to do something, you still figure out last year, you still so we need the parent on that. And the parents, students are part of this subject, and the professor that's in the process. Assessing fiscal resources require great communication with great district staff, parent collaboration, and course selection is really nurturing. So, Ms. Craig Mouse is in charge to, because she's part of that process, and is well able to involve students and parents more in the course selection process. Before class presentations are made, most of the time students will make choices for their classes without parents involved in it. Parents are supposed to get signed, so often, when we started looking at this, students were signing up for parents and teachers. So we want to change that. We want to make it more aligned, so it's parents that are in and they're part of the process too. We also feel it's important, they pointed out, that the long-term plan for the students with development goals and objectives to keep themselves. And so we talked about that, talked about what they did before you went into the board councils, and that's something that we're going to share. We also began looking last year, excuse me, at a program that looks at tenure. What do you want your life to be like 6 years after college? So we start the 4-year plan. Are you developing goals that will help you reach those? It's called goals statements. And it started in academia, and it's spread across the country. So that's something next year we're going to. School-wide unit, common instructional strategies. Our focus is really on explicit direct instruction. Our teachers I feel are very, very fluid, and they all have different varied instructional practices, and they not one common instructional practice, which is the loss to point out in the curriculum. We go to 7 periods in the day, that's like one 7 classes or 7 periods a week. This is a very simple template, it's used throughout the state of California, and it's proven to show results. And the other focuses will be on explicit direct instruction, which is a second addition to it, and physical learning, which will be something that will be very important to. There was a researcher out of Australia that's been years basically compiling all the data from different educational research and then analyzing and saying, for all these different things that people are trying, PBL, smart process, what really makes a difference? And our focus is to focus on these top 5 things that do make a difference and improve the student scores. And one of them, of course, is so that'll be a focus for our schools and people to be able to calibrate and trainers that visible learning.
So along with that, I think as a parent, we just attest that in addition to the expectations of the teachers and the way they run the classrooms being very different, the accessibility to the information of what's the curriculum and what the requirements of the place is. So we have some teachers that are extremely responsive and say, you can text me until 10 o'clock, you can email me, have very set procedures for kids to find out. So I think along with that is having
If I can hear anything.
Yeah, I was just about to say, so turn the mic on.
I'm so sorry. How about I just shout this way?
Okay, so
He understood. So
I saw also.
He gets memorized.
There you go.
So what Julie said is, not all our teachers basically are great about sharing the curriculum and content standards, and also too talking about sharing the homework and requirements and having that on maybe a teacher website and so on. Unfortunately, it's something that we can encourage, but we can't mandate our teachers to do it. The parents can request the teachers, but we do have staff who follow the contract to a T. They show up 5 minutes before the bell rings, and they work and they leave right when the bell rings too. But that's by contract what they're required to do, and they teach to that standard. But then we have other staff members who do and are very interested in making sure information is shared with parents as much as possible, responsive to emails and so on. But if a parent is concerned, then they should let me know so that I can contact that teacher personally and say, you're not responding to emails in a timely manner, please contact this parent.
Well, I'm not really even talking about personal therapy. I'm just saying it would be great if all of them, like in junior high, they all use Google Pages and all that system.
Right.
So if your child has a question about something they're doing at home, they can just jump on and look at it. It's all there.
Right.
The handouts are all there, printed out, everything's there. So it's just a more consistent use of that. I would think would benefit teachers.
I agree.
Yeah.
Julie, our new website format does have that.
And Paula will be spending some time at one of our first entry days showing the teachers how to use the website, how to upload their web pages and so on. But like I said, unfortunately, it's something we cannot mandate them to do. It's not part of their contract. It'd be something that nice that they all did.
Well, I think what we can say is if you are going to do it, you'd like to do it on the format of the website.
And that's what Paula's going to show them how to do it.
Not a Google Doc.
So you one source to look for it.
Just to the CAS report, the SARC report, we have 14% of our student body are white students, which is the only student group that is at proficient or above proficiency. We have 1% graduating at college readiness, 1%. How many students that is, I have no idea, but I know it's not enough. The LCAP is specific on numbers exactly. And so we have a group of students that get it, but we have the majority not getting it. And so as you look for things that is effective, some of the things that are effective was an ethnic study class and a cultural approach to education, because it identifies with the students. Proposition 57 spoke about which was overwhelmingly approved by the state, and yet we haven't done anything to dismantle the English only and adopt a bilingual option. I'm not saying a whole curriculum, but an option. These have proven results, and the numbers that we're getting so far. The 4-year plan is great for my second daughter, not so much for my junior daughter. And so every student that walks through this door and graduates with a diploma, and I might mind, let me step back a little bit. At 1% college ready, we have a 100% graduation rate, which is troubling because they're not ready for school. And they go to remediation as they go to college, and they suck up all their financial aid as they try to obtain a degree. And so as a high school, we need to make sure, we need to ensure that these kids are college ready. And these numbers are troubling, and this report is very troubling. The data is not new, and these test scores are not new. They've been that way for quite some time, since I've been observing these test scores. And I understand you're with the principal. You're not in the classroom. And so we need to make sure that we not only have an intervention teacher, but an intervention system that ensures that we dissect the data and implement a system that will rescue these kids from the school-to-prison pipeline, which is very, the numbers according to ethnic lines is very troubling. It affects the majority of our students. And so this is a very troubling report for me. Not only that, but all the data that's in the LCAP, the CASP, and the SARP report. It is very evident that the white kids get it, the brown kids don't. And I would hope that something would happen, because that is the majority, 82%, according to the SARP report of our student body, and that is troubling.
I don't disagree with you, Mark, at all. I completely agree with you. It is troubling. We got our AP results back, and not one student passed AP stats. 6 out of the 38 students in AP English passed, the rest didn't. AP US History did really well, AP World History did well. Our AP Spanish language class, every one of the students except one passed, and we had quite a few perfect scores. So it is troubling. And so what we're trying to do is provide interventions for not only our students, but like you said, I'm just the principal. And all the studies show the biggest impact is with the teacher in the classroom. I could be the most wonderful principal in the world, but the impact is really what takes place in the classroom. So what do we do to support our teachers? What are we doing to provide that support? So this summer, our district paid for Mr. Gutman, who was our AP English teacher, to go to AP workshop for a week. He wrote me a long email today of everything he learned, strategies to use, and some studies that came out of Stanford, because the classrooms were on Stanford's campus. So he seems very energized, and he's got a new approach, and we'll have to see if the training will pay off. We sent our AP calculus teacher to the training this summer too. The district paid for that, which was very generous of them. This summer, our English language arts teachers are meeting to look at the data, to analyze the data, to set some target growth goals for themselves, and then look at ways that the other teachers on campus can help with raising those scores. Common rubrics, using the same standards within each class. Our math teachers met already too. The English teachers are meeting tomorrow. The math teachers met already last week. Same thing, they looked at the data. We have 2 new math teachers coming from a school where the scores weren't like this, and they are very excited in the challenge. We feel like we've hired excellent math teachers to help that process. Our district has been very supportive with that extra math teacher, which will free up 2 of our current teachers, Ms. Probst and Ms. Bone, to be able to work in a strategic math class to help those students who are behind. They're targeted specific. Our teachers will be, one part of the WASP process is the assessment plan. Are we assessing our students on enough times throughout the year, basically analyzing the data and then making those adjustments? We did start that process last year. Unfortunately, it was later in the year after the loss process had already come and gone, so they didn't get to see that. But this year, we've set aside 3 days. So the students will be assessed 3 times throughout the year. The teachers will meet immediately afterwards, take a look at the data, and then they'll make some determinations. Where we can celebrate successes and where do we need to reteach, spiral back to, and what can we do to provide more support for our students on the specific standards. So it won't be CASP, which is in the late spring, and you get your results in June or July. We want the teachers to know data often. And part of this explicit direct instruction, which is something that we used in Santa Rosa City Schools, was that it's daily feedback. It's checking for understanding constantly with students so that you don't move on to the next thing, right? It's like if you took a group of people on a tour, never been someplace before, right? This is how I like to explain this explicit direct instruction. You want to make sure that everybody's with your tour group, right? Are they understanding? Are they with you? And they want to know what's going to be happening next, the next day, and so on. So it's like that. You're constantly keeping the people, all your students together. They're all learning the same thing. They're moving on together. And if they miss something, you go back, or you go find where they are and you bring them along. And not always has that been happening within all our classrooms, and that needs to happen. Because the pace can be very quick. There's lots of standards that need to be addressed by the state of California. But we can't leave students behind that aren't understanding that. Every one of the students need to be brought forward. So I'm kind of encouraged by the support of the board and our district to help create plans to address these things. Could we use more tutoring? Yes, we could. The question really is, how do we get students to want to come to tutoring? Because we have in the past offered tutoring after school, but we may only have 1 or 2 students who are there. Last year, like I said, with the Avid tutors, it was offered. It was difficult to get people there. But we're going to try to change that mindset, that paradigm. And one of the ways we started doing that is really looking at some of the programs where kids go to. Kids go to the Teen Center. So the Teen Center is changing their focus to being a place that kids hang out. They've actually hired someone to work with students on tutoring after school. So there'll be a place for them to go to have tutoring. ACE, same thing. They're going to change their focus this year to be more academic tutoring for students instead of a place for kids to play and so on. So it's really about changing those paradigms in those places where students go to after school to get help, to play, and things like that. So often students, once they're done with school, they want to go to other places. So we're trying to look at every way we can capture our students to help them. But you're right, we do need to change things.
I like your tour analogy.
Thanks.
Yeah, to catch these kids midstream, because if we wait like the other interventions where they catch them at the end of the year, they're right a year behind. And so, yeah, we all got our fingers crossed and hope so.
Well, we need to catch them every period.
I agree.
Right. When a student leaves the classroom and they're given a homework assignment, that teacher needs to make sure that every student can do that homework assignment before they leave the classroom. Is that happening in every classroom? No, it's not. But we're going to make changes to that. So it is happening in every classroom. Does every student understand the learning objective, learning goals? Like the tour, do you understand what you're going to see today and do and learn and be able to know by the end of the day or by the end of the period? They need to understand that it's about goals for the period and goals for a extended period of time and majoring those students' outcomes. So you can adjust your curriculum. Is that happening in every classroom? No, it isn't. We do have students, staff who are doing an excellent job, and we see positive results from this teaching. Every teacher needs to make that happen. So one of the things we're doing is really looking at my role and Ms. Baldenegro's role. Figuring out ways that we can free up more time to get into the classroom to help coach our teachers. One of the things that's great about Ms. Bowen and Ms. Post being in a classroom with those teachers is they're going to be able to work collaboratively together and see some strong teaching practices, which will help pay off for them too. Can we go through this?
Yeah, please.
Am I taking this?
No, go ahead, we're here.
So communication in greater detail with both students and parents regarding student achievement and areas of concern. I wish that every teacher made a phone call home, and I constantly encourage them when a student, and we have done a great job of changing the staff in the office. I mean, 4 years ago when I first arrived, we didn't have a bilingual person in the office to help, right? Wasn't anyone there. So now we have Maria and Marcy, who are great. Parents come in. We have Ms. Craig Morales, who's bilingual. And so if a teacher isn't bilingual, they have Marcy and Maria to get help with talking to the parents. But one of the great things our district has done is they've purchased Aries Communication. I'm not sure if you've learned a little bit about that yet or not. Okay. Well, this will allow our staff to be able to email parents, and it will translate it into Spanish for them automatically. And they'll be able to actually send messages, text messages, or phone communications, like messages, and we'll translate them too. Because we want to make sure the parents are informed. One thing that I know about our school and our parents is they appreciate getting information. The more information they have, the better they can help. Because they want every one of their students, their children, to be successful. But if they don't know that they're not being successful, they think, well, everything's fine, right? But they want to know when things aren't going well. The sooner, just like us, we want to know data right away. The sooner they get information, the sooner they can help with their child. So we're looking at ways to improve that too. So expansion of multiple measures to analyze overall needs for intervention. Like we said, we're going to be using math intervention as an assessment. We'll be using reading intervention, which is Lexile scores. We'll be using interim assessments from CAST. Take a look at that data. And then the data on a daily basis. We're using Illuminate, so staff can do exit tickets to find out what the students know and can be able to do it in the period. So we're getting those things in place. We do need more training for Common Core statewide assessment, and our district has been really great, and Michael will be helping us with this, is finding those opportunities for teachers so they can go to those trainings to be able to get what they need. So those things and those opportunities will be available to them. And the district school website pages, we've talked about that already. So basically, yes, we are very concerned, but we've got a plan in place that we're going to be addressing these things. With Aaron's support and Michael's support, I think this is going to be happening. So, our plan is to come back and report back in October with detailed plans about assessment plan, a lot of details about each one of those things.
I'm glad to hear that. That's encouraging.
Is that on?
It's got a nice green light on it.
Here.
Yeah, that's encouraging. I'm glad to hear it. And I'm glad that you're planning to come back with a report in October, because I think, we're less than 2 years away from the follow-up, the probationary review. It's critical that we get restored to full accreditation and also probationary status. And I think that they make very clear what they want to see from us. And it's great to talk about what we're planning to change, but they're going to want to see some concrete changes. So.
Sure, definitely. This is not, it's not uncommon for a school. I mean, the school I was previously at, after I left, I heard that they received a one-year accreditation in their curriculum, right? So it's the top school in Sonoma County. Top scores, top ACT scores, they got a one-year accreditation because there were some things they needed to address. They addressed them, they came back, they got 6 years. So that's the purpose of the loss process, is to come in, analyze, and then what we need to do is respond to what they've said. So, and we take it very seriously. One of the things that's been really great about some things that we've started is it's the responsibility starts early, right? So, I mean, we're talking K-12. And so ELA, we're having our ELA meeting tomorrow. Jen Wadlinger, who is the English language arts teacher in 6th grade, will be joining. Our math team got together last week, and our 6th grade math teacher was there too. So we really see it's important that we start seeing that vertical planning, because it doesn't just start in 6th, 7th grade. We need to show improvement in all grades, all the way through. Right? And the more we talk about test scores, the more we analyze test scores, where we can show improvement, the better. So I'm really happy that they want to be a part of CES, 6th grade teachers, to be a part of this planning process. It is. It's really great. and they're very excited. They would like to be able to meet with our teachers and talk about math
I
and
think it's
issues.
a great idea because most high schools draw from multiple junior highs and
Exactly.
multiple elementary schools. We just have one unit. And so this should be easy to streamline.
Right. In one of our things that I've always said to our staff is that principals come and go, right? And Ivan Miller, if you know Ivan Miller, on his last day of retirement, he announced that there was 24 different principals in the whole number of years he taught, right? So it gives you an idea, in 40 years, he was a big turnover. So if we can create systems and practices that are in place that will live on past me or whoever else is in this position that are proven to show results, and that's really what we're about. When we talk about visible learning, let's not target things that aren't showing visible results. Let's target the things that are showing visible results. Let's put our money in those areas. And I can share the visible results template with you. It shows all the different areas where these are things that have proven to show results, and these are the things that they're great, but don't put all your energy there. Put them in. I can share that with you in an email if you'd like. Yes. Yeah, it does. Sure.
Okay. Well, that was kind of a
Long.
no, but I mean, it's an important thing that we're talking about. This is huge, so, thank you.
Yeah, I'm very confident. So
All right.
it's something I struggle with. I think about a lot.
So we want to talk about the master bell schedule?
Well,
The,
as parents, we have two parents here. We need to go back to the original bell schedule: Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, all 7 periods, and Wednesday shortened day. The contract states that the teachers need to have a prep period every single day. So that's the reason why we're moving back. Now, was that something that our teachers were excited about? No. For quite a few teachers, science especially, industrial or CTE classes especially, having that extra long period was vitally important. To set up a lab and be able to do a lab within a 55-minute period is very difficult to do. And having those longer time periods was very, very essential. But the contract is the contract. So our staff has pledged to meet together to figure out a solution to this year. So unfortunately, because of that, we had to give up our advisory, which was met well with some of the students. Like we took a poll, the students liked advisory. They weren't keen on science-sustained reading. I don't think they appreciated it as much as we did and the staff did, but they appreciated the advisory time to be able to get help from teachers, especially our athletes, right? If you leave for a sporting event and you're gone for 5th and 6th period, you miss a test, when do you make up your test? Do you make it up during class time while instruction is still going on? So advisory was great for that. Unfortunately, we had to give that up contractually. So we're hoping to bring those things back again, and we hope the staff can the CAT staff can come together, certificate staff, and find a solution to that. Negotiations this year is looking at the whole contract, and hopefully those things will be solved. So that's why the bell schedule is in there. The master schedule, if you look in there, you'll see, take for instance for Ms. Probst and Ms. Bone, it looks like the both of them have 2 periods of preparation. Unfortunately, within areas we can't identify those periods where they'll be pushing into teachers' math classrooms to provide assistance, and that's what they'll be doing. So their focus for those 2 periods is to provide assistance in the math classrooms during those time periods. Something too that you need to be aware of is that, I'm sure you probably already heard, in St. Helena, the Catholic school there closed. It's a K-8 school. So we're expecting probably 10 more junior high students, which means that we were already at 156 students. So we'll be pushing up to 166. So some of our teachers will have over 165 student contacts in a day, which is quite a few. So just want you to know.
I want the board to know that we actually called and contacted the school when we heard that they were closing to try to determine how many kids we thought might return to our district. We were told so that we
Yes.
have the students coming back to our district. We're happy they're coming, but we didn't expect it. So it's going to increase our student loads in the classes.
I also know several parents pointed out why the school district is happening at unlimited. So that's.
That could be why.
exactly what's probably happening. Some of those parents stated that you couldn't place your children in private schools, like, you know, the solely private, because it's too expensive. So it's gonna be interesting to see.
It's gonna be tight, mention that.
All right, great. Anything else?
Any other questions at all? Just to let you know, there's a couple new classes this year, if you look on there. Part of, one of the things that we can make at a presentation sometime is the college and career indicators on our dashboard. One of the things that we need is students to complete pathways. We currently only have one pathway completer program, that is our construction program. We need a capstone class for our biotech and a capstone class for our alternative energy program. So what we've done is we reconfigured our biotech. So biology now is called biology for biotechnology. So that'll be the entry-level class which every freshman take. Every freshman take that class. So that'll be the first level for the biotech pathway. The second class will be our biotech 1 class. We went from 18 students to over 40 students interested in that. So we have 42 students who are going on to the biotechnology 1. And a lot of that has to do, of course, with the teacher and her enthusiasm. She does these field trips and brings in people to the Biotech STEM Day and so on. And then the capstone class will be the Biotech 2 class, which students will get dual enrollment credit for. So we're excited about that. And so that'll be the capstone. So we'll have more students who will be pathway completers. So that's a change there. We chose the pathways based on a couple different factors. One was we're a small school, right? And we have staff who have specific targeted skill sets. And this was one of those areas that was a targeted skill set. Ms. Swarner worked in the biotech industry, and then also too, she has a master's degree that relates to that, which you need a master's degree to be able to offer dual enrollment classes. So it worked out as a good fit for us. There's other pathways, and I can share a link to all the different multiple pathways. And then the other one, is, of course, is CTE related to construction, which is, is a growth area in high demand. It's a big one. Yeah, right now. Culinary, we would like to see it move into a pathway, but with personnel, Ed is, of course, the director of food services. And he does a great job teaching one period, but to ask him to teach 2 periods would take away from his currently already busy job as director of food services. We've talked to the county, and what used to be considered ROP is now CTE, to get someone to come up Valley to our little school here for 1 period is very, very difficult to teach that next level. But we're still in talks with them. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. They have to have a CTE credential, though, which requires them to have so many years of work experience and so on.
Well, they got to Harvard College after Campbell's doing a presentation from the staff the other day, and they were talking about the culinary arts school and how they want to expand their services to offer to students in the high school level so that they can attract them for grade 1. So that would be a conversation.
I've had conversations with them. They would like us to offer that course at their campus in St. Helena. Our student population, as we see, some schools, they have student parking lots filled with student cars. We've got 3 or 4 kids who have transportation to be able to get down to St. Helena. So the conversation is, could you provide transportation up there, like send one of those vans up there to get kids out at a certain time, take them down to a corner. That's kind of where it left off at. But we would like that opportunity to be able to have kids go down. It's a beautiful campus down there in St. Helena. But it's just getting our kids there. Logistics.
All right. Right. Thank you, Craig.
You're welcome.
All right.
And we'll come back, like I said,
Oh, yes.
more. And
We're not going anywhere. 5.3, superintendent's report.
It seems hard to believe that the start of school is only 9 days away. Our principals and secretaries are all back to work, so the pace in the district has been picking up day by day. We're excited to be welcoming back our teachers very soon as well. Under LCAP goal number 1, ensuring academic excellence for all students. Professional development is a priority in our district, just like Greg mentioned earlier in the report. So there's been a lot of adult learning that's happened so far this summer, and will also be occurring in the next 2 weeks. So that has included, Craig's also mentioned a couple of these, but some of our teachers attended the Advanced Placement Institute, the Abbott Summer Institute, and Naviance training. That's already occurred. We have CPI, Crisis Prevention and Intervention Training, which is going to be for all of our special ed teachers and our paraprofessionals. That occurs later this week. We have one of our new teachers who's actually been training with treatment trainers. We have restorative practices, which is going to be occurring at the elementary school for our elementary school principals, our teachers, and our paraprofessionals. We have areas of communication training coming up for all of our principals, secretaries, and teachers as well. We have Illuminate Ed training for teachers at both the junior senior high school and the elementary school. And then we also have LPAC training coming for our paraprofessionals. So lots and lots of training is occurring. It's definitely in the district. Under LCAP goal number 2, providing a safe, healthy, and positive school environment. Mike Block, who is the owner of Block Construction, and Brian visited the district last Tuesday. Brian was the project manager who actually helped oversee the building of these projects several years ago. It's nice to have him come back and really get to see the facilities that we've used. And he made the comment that they are in excellent shape, so he complimented Chris around what they were taking care of these past few years. So they were here to talk to us about the moisture issue in the gym. They both had some interesting thoughts on what the possible cause could be. One concern was the level of humidity that was in the gym, so they measured that, and they're going to have a mechanical specialist come to the site. And they will then manage the humidity, and they're going to monitor it regularly. Their second thought is they want to run a camera through the drain pipes that pull the groundwater away from the foundation. They want to determine if there might be an obstruction or a low spot in that particular system that could be a cause. So Brian's going to contact Chris to schedule a visitation again with the specialist. And we had a really good conversation. He commented at the end of our meeting that he has had a very positive and long-standing relationship with our district, and that he stands by their work.
That's good. Yeah, we knew there was a good beginning.
And then our facilities department has been very busy doing final preparations for the start of school, just to make sure that our grounds are safe and clean. That includes things like checking alarm systems, you service the HVAC systems, you check the fire extinguishers, you inspect the bleachers, or things that most people don't know are being done or required to be done in order to keep our facilities safe. So I appreciate the hard work of our facilities department staff because they're doing all that. Everybody else is on vacation. So one of those people is actually sitting in the room right now, Chris Seuss.
Yes, he is.
Also operating our technology right now. Under LCAP Goal 3, increasing parent engagement, enhancing communication. As Craig also mentioned, we're rolling out the year's communication system prior to school starting. I'm very excited about this because it will allow our parents to get information through text, email, and phone. And it allows the messages to be translated. I think it'll be particularly helpful during emergency situations, as we experienced last year during the fire using Blackboard was not as easy as it should have been. So it's not emergency situations. So we're going to be reminding parents it's extremely important that they update their contact information because the system is not going to be helpful when you have current phone numbers and addresses for the kids and email addresses. The other exciting news I have is, hopefully you've already looked at this, but Paula did a soft launch of our new district website on Friday. And so soft launch meant we did tell a lot of people. There are a few people that we chose to look at the site just to have another set of eyes on it. And since she is the one solely responsible for building the site, I asked that she take just a few minutes to walk you through it so you can actually see it.
Please.
All right, so I know this was a long time coming, and I just had to let it rip, so here it is. I'm pretty happy with it. very clean, very crisp, very easy to navigate. So this is just what it looks like right when you open it up. Rotating photos, there's some quick links, those can be modified too, as I said, if you're kind of going through and you think that something could be more important or less important, that can be changed. We've got recent news right here, we just had to send them a message about the drinking water. And then also the upcoming events are plugged right in and they are linked directly to the Google Calendar, which is great. That is also
Football scrimmages.
okay. I will work with Eric and Louise on that one. They kind of manage the athletics, since it's ever changing, as that just made a point. The calendars are a little bit in transition because as of right now, there is only one kind of main calendar for just the junior, senior high school / the district, a little bit. So it's got athletics and it's got just a couple site things. But as far as the calendaring system, my overall vision is we're going to have a district calendar and then sites underneath that, and then underneath that would be athletics or school events, and elementary right now doesn't have anything. So I'm really working with both the sites and the secretaries to make sure we get I want it to be encompassing everything that it needs to encompass, and it'll be right there, right there to see it. This just, a lot of general things that you would need to know. This links right to the LCAP. And you can download it or view through it. And let's see, announcements, that's kind of where these little news stories come from. So if you wanted to go back to something that you saw earlier, some of them will expire, but that's where they'll be housed. The newsletter is linked directly to here. The archive of it, where you can also sign up. So if people want to go back to an old issue or join the mailing list, that's where you can direct them. And that will be starting back up when school starts. We'll get the newsletter flowing again. Board of Education, this is the cool part where you guys are now obviously very familiar, but this links directly to Board Docs, the public site. So all that was board meeting documents. The calendar is separate. This links right to YouTube. And same with our policies. The calendar we went through. Departments, this is what's new as well, and as far as organizing information. I really like these document containers. So we've got contracts and salary schedules. Well, if you wanted to see what that is for classified, right there is the classified ones. Same with this. Certificated, classified job descriptions. We've got our benefits right up here with open enrollment announcement, or open enrollment right now. And then also employee form bank, something a little easier for them. What is it pertaining to? Is it payroll form or is it for, their time off, things like that. So I just think that it's pretty crisp and clean. Anything that families might need is down here. Partners, linking up to all of our supporting partners in the district. And then it's basically, I'm not going to go through each school, but it's essentially the same thing then for each site. It's just on a little bit smaller scale. So like I said, like this events area, that'll be populated. Recent news, that'll be populated. There are still a couple things that I put a little coming soon. They will be coming. But as of where we're at right now, I think that it's pretty close.
Well, I poked around it earlier today, and it's so refreshing that there's stuff in there that I can find.
Right.
So that was huge, because for so long, I'm fairly computer literate, and I could not figure out how to get anything out of the website. It's just way too complicated and nothing. So this is fantastic. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. So like I said, I'm more than willing to suggestions. So if you see something that doesn't make sense, want to move it somewhere else, we've already toyed around with it a little bit, just let me know. But I hope that everyone finds it very easy to use.
Can you just make a comment about the teacher websites that you're planning to post?
Yes, so the teacher websites will be linked off of their school site. And I haven't created them yet because obviously they'd currently be empty. But what I would like to do is get in staff, it would likely fall through there. I haven't done an extensive amount of research into it yet, but basically we're going to make a template that I'll work with Michael as well as maybe a teacher or two, kind of get their perspective on what template would be most effective for teachers to upload their data. I'm not saying that every single person will be exactly the same. I understand there's different needs, but I definitely want it to look cohesive. When you were mentioning Weebly and Google, and all those different pages, my OCD hates that they're all different. I want them to be all, matching our district. It makes sense to, this is where you would find them. You don't want to have to go back to your registration packet and find the link for this one teacher and same for a different one. They should all be right here. So that's the goal as well.
Well, that just makes too much sense.
Wouldn't you think? I know. So, like Craig said, we can't make them do it. I think that once we get a few that do it, and that kind of drives the interest of, hey, they're getting comments from their parents and comments from administration and comments from Erin on how great your website looks, then hopefully that will just, make
A rising tide lifts all boats.
Yes, yes. So that's the goal.
Good. No, fantastic.
I'm just curious, so if I get on Zendesk under the submit, anybody from local can come on and submit?
So that is technically how it was linked before. It was under, it's under staff, right?
I was just curious.
Yeah, I guess that is technically the case. What is also great about this site that I haven't jumped into yet is you have workflows that you can create directly. So that wouldn't even have to be an external ticketing system. We wouldn't even need Zendesk. We would just route it through our own website. I was kind of looking into that with the facilities use as well, but Chris is pretty interested in what he's using because it is meant for facilities. So maybe it could be a way to maybe link it from the website to that. You know what I mean? It might not be completely seamless as the IT might be, but there's definitely a lot of capabilities that this site can do that I'm just scratching the surface. So
That's
I'm
fantastic.
anticipating getting
It really is. It really is. It's cool.
any other questions. Yes, yep, right up here.
French, German, Italian.
Yep, so just Spanish, most common example. I can't guarantee that it's perfect, similar to, what we kind of talked about.
That's just Google.
It's,
So, yeah.
right.
They wouldn't make any mistakes, would they?
Talk to our world language teachers.
Yeah, like that.
But we also, we try to be mindful about how we input information from these isn't. You have too many of those in your English version translated. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Okay.
It's a heck of a lot closer than we were, at least, we can say that.
Good job.
You know,
Yeah,
What
you
did
did
I-
a great job.
Thank you.
ever since our kids were young, Claudia, the parents have been complaining about, why can't we just get a calendar that we can go to, that we can
I
figure
know.
out? So if that's just huge.
Right, so all of them will come in and roll on that sidewalk.
That's exactly, so then you can check and uncheck, things.
Do we integrate the instructional calendar in there, or how that?
It'll be done manually, but yeah, that's easy enough. You do it once and then it's done. So totally. I'm all about the calendars. So
Because we always were trying to get one Google Doc with everything, but that's impossible.
Yeah, that's-
This way,
But at least,
everybody submits their calendar, they all go on one side.
at least you have a place to get it.
right. Well, and it's so easy just with the Google Calendar. This offers a calendar itself. I don't even know if it's linked on this one. It probably shows in the elementary. But you can't, it's not quite as easy to update from everywhere. So the fact that this literally populates the Google Calendar, it's
Well, I did click on that, and when I went to the calendar, it brought up my stuff off of my phone, on my email.
yeah, it's gonna sink into
Yeah.
whatever
But
Google
maybe
Calendar you're
that's-
logged into.
Yeah.
But it's almost easier than maybe you see, oh, I can't go to this game because I have a dentist appointment.
Sure.
So that's it. Any other questions or comments? Or
Nicely played.
thank you very much.
All right. Okay, moving on. Oh, you did? I didn't know you were done. Sorry. We grab the microphone. I guess I'm not.
Well, as you probably noticed, included in the personnel register is a letter of resignation from Jenna Burrows, who has secured a new position that sounds very exciting for her. She served for 3 years as our director of business, and the district remained fiscally sound during her tenure, so I want to acknowledge her contribution to education for the district.
Thank you.
And then lastly, the district's going to be hosting our Welcome Back event on August 14th, which is Tuesday, from 11 to 12:45. I worked with the principals on Friday, and we had have set the agenda. So we're going to be honoring some of our longtime employees. We're going to be introducing our new staff, reviewing the district goals for the year ahead, and enjoying a delicious lunch. Ed is going to roll out some new foods that he's going to be serving the students. So I hope that you can join us.
Paula, can you put that on our calendars and send it to us?
Thank you, very sorry. Sounds great.
All right, now moving on. Okay. 6, consent calendar. This requires a roll call vote. And actions proposed for the consent agenda are deemed routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless any member of the board, audience, or staff requests specific items to be removed from the consent agenda for separate action. So, routine contracts, personnel register, so all those things. Field trip, personnel register, all right. So I'm looking for an approval of the consent agenda. All in favor? Aye. Okay, this is a roll call vote. Go to the next page. Clerk Alcashir. Trustee Lopez. Trustee Reed. Trustee Galindo. And President Maxfield. Aye. All right. Action items. Action items proposed for, that's second there. Protocol for action items includes staff presentation, questions from the board, public input, deliberation by the board, and voting by the board. During public input, there will be a 3-minute time limit per person. So we go to section 7.2, extended tolling agreement with Block.
Yes, this agreement is going to give us additional time to investigate the cause of the question.
All right. And Julie, all in favor? Aye. 7.3, consolidated application, CONAC.
So we're applying for both Title I funds, which stated earlier, will be funding our academic intervention specialist at the elementary school, and then Title II funds we use for our staff professional.
So this is just a format to get that process.
It's part of the application process. So that-
The promotion.
So I move that we
You're all in favor? Aye. All right. 7.4, Challenge Day Agreement. Craig.
Well, we're really excited for a couple different reasons. When we start looking at our students' emotional well-being and their health, I mean, you know the studies, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We need to make sure those basic needs are met. And one of those things is feeling a sense of belongingness and students getting to know each other. So last year we noticed that there was an uptick in students just not being nice to each other, basically. And we want to change that. And it came to my attention that 5 years ago our school did have a challenge day here on campus. It was a 2-day event. And so I've been really pushing hard to make that happen. With the big thank you to our Seroptimist who donated, and our Rotary. I'll get around to the Rotary. I'd like to point out that the Seroptimist did give $1 more than the Rotary did.
Oh, ow!
So with their support and the district support with some of the other costs, which most of the support came from community organizations, we're going to be able to buy 2 days of Challenge Day. Ms. Craig Mouse has been sort of coordinating it, and she's doing a great job with it. Today we met with, I don't know, you remember Andy, who was with the, we met with Zach, new to us this year, and he's going to do a great job, I think. Talking about maybe involving some of our Mentis therapists in that day, because we need a 5, did she say 5, dear, 5-to-1 ratio of 1 adult per 5 children? Yeah, so 4-to-1? Okay, so if you are interested in being a volunteer in one of those 2 days, one or both days, please reach out to Ms. Craig Miles because she's going to need adult volunteers.
Do you know, do we have days set yet?
I think it's in October. I can't remember exactly the date. Okay. But according, it is in October. What I'll do is, if you're interested, just reach out to her and she'll send you the exact dates. Because our goal really is not just those 2 days, but it's really what we do with sort of the inertia afterwards. If you haven't had the chance to see what Challenge Day is about, just type in Google Challenge Days. There's a short video that's very powerful, and it tells you a little bit about what takes place. And it's basically a time for kids to get to know each other on a more deeper level. Because so often if kids not being nice to someone else, they don't know what the person who they're not being nice to is going through, right? There may be things outside of school that they're not showing transparently that are weighing on them, and slight comments can be very impactful to kids who are dealing with things outside of the school environment. So it's really about challenging our students to really take care of each other, get to know each other, step out of their shell. And at our Rotary thing, one of the students came and he talked about it and how impactful it was. And he didn't share this was in his script. He chose not to, but it's the time when he came out as a gay young man was challenged. He felt comfortable enough to do that. And we hope that through this process that our students will feel connected to each other a little more and really treat each other on a nicer level, a more respectful level, and we carry that through the year. And we're looking at starting a club called Be the Change Club, where students are involved in that. So I think it's going to be really exciting, it'll be very impactful, and I appreciate if you guys want to be involved in one of those things.
Thank you.
How are the students chosen for this program?
Every
100 student limit?
Every student will be able to participate.
Oh, great.
In grades 8 and 9. What we'd like to do is offer it again next year. So next year, at the following year, so it's ongoing every 2 years, so that, because currently our 7th graders won't get it, but our 8th graders and 9th graders will. So the following years, we offer it to our 7th and 8th graders, which would be our current 7th graders moving up to 8th grade, and our 6th graders moving to 7th. Then every 2 years, we can offer challenge days for our junior high students.
That's great.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we're just kind of doing catch up this year, and the next year we'll show you.
Fantastic. I think that's good. Well, and thanks for Optimist and Rotary for supporting our kids. That
Yeah,
just
it's
shows how
fantastic. It's really
Community
great.
steps up.
Community steps up. And
Fantastic.
I let the paper know that too, so they hopefully will write a little writing.
I gotta get the plug. So,
The teachers will be involved. We've allocated, this is how our district will be supported, we've allocated for some substitutes. Of course, if all the 8th graders are out, then of course the 7th graders, so we're not going to,
right.
so we're going to have subs for those 7th grade teachers too. So we want to make as many staff members involved in the days. It's pretty emotional.
Yeah.
If you've ever participated.
Yeah, we watched that video. It's
Yeah, as I was wiping my tears after watching that. I see the council member wiping his.
Yeah. All right, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll move that we approve the challenge day.
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye. All right. 7.5, Restorative Practices Memorandum of Understanding. Aaron and/or Nicole. Yeah, you haven't got to talk much.
Good evening. We at Kelso Elementary School are moving forward this year with restorative practices. And as you are aware through our dashboard data, there has been an indication that we've had a higher than usual suspension rate in comparison of moving in towards what they call the red zone as opposed to although our current data, we are having some improvement in that area. The look for restorative practices did start last year because it's not just about the student who ends up ultimately being excluded from school. It's about the systems that you do have in place to support all of your students. The process that we did last year is through our leadership team. We looked at various social emotional learning programs to support staff, and the groups presented. This was an agency that, at least from a leadership perspective, they liked because it had a K-12 implication. So when we're talking about that articulation with our secondary teachers, that it could be something in common. I know that the elementary this year is going to be starting with the training. And we also are including our paraprofessionals as well, because one thing that if you look at how we do supervision of our students, we have our teachers, obviously, that's the most amount of contact that our students have is during the classroom day. But then when you start looking at your recesses and your lunch, those are entirely supervised by paraeducators. And so the training that we're going to be doing is bringing all those stakeholders together, talking about how do we empower our students to be able to have classroom meetings, to be able to talk through conflict, and to be able, what they call it restoring harm, which is the idea that if there is a conflict, if there is a hurt, if there is something that is to happen, then there is a forum and a structure to be able to what we call repair the harm. In some cases, it's bringing students together in a mediated conversation. In other cases, it's an actual whole class meeting. It really depends on what the harm is in the particular situation. So we are looking forward to having all of our stakeholders involved in that, because what ultimately happens is that if a student is dysregulated, which when a student is at an unstructured time and there's a challenge that happens, or it comes into the classroom. And so I think that by getting all of our staff on the same page, so to speak, even though it is going to be giving some time within the classroom to work through these elements, I think that the time given in the classroom will benefit because it will give students a forum to be able to restore harm and to be able to focus in, again, on schoolwork.
Great.
Well, I just wanted the board to know that the district has a contract we approved with Martha McCoy to submit a grant request to the Powell Foundation. And so this particular training is a part of that request. So we're hoping that it will be funded and expensive for the district as far as the training is concerned.
Well then, I'm looking for a motion of the MOU. Yep. Mark? Julie? All in favor? Aye. Now we move on to 7.6, the Illuminate Agreement. Karen?
I had mentioned earlier as well that our teachers at both the elementary school and junior senior high school are going to be receiving a half-day training each next Tuesday. Correct? Yes.
And so this is just approving that.
It's follow-up training.
Follow-up training. Okay. Looking for a motion? Julie? Indira, all in favor? Aye. All right, closing items, board calendar. Next meeting, Monday, September 10th, October 8th, November 5th, December 10th. Coming activities, first day of school is the 16th. Family Center, back to school celebration, Friday. All right, Wednesday, August 29th, back to school, wow. CES is the 30th, back to school night. All right. 8.3, tentative future agenda items, sufficiency of instructional materials, student representative induction. All right. Williams quarterly report. And there is no need to reconvene to closed session. And I'm looking for 8.6, which is our highlight. Margaret, all in favor? Or, second? Matt, all in favor? Aye. All right. Good job. Thank you, Jesus.
We went from, not right out the